Admiral Sarah Chun stared at the tactical display floating in front of her command chair. Blue dots showed human ships. Green dots were their allies. Red dots marked the enemy Cathara swarm. For 3 years, she had watched these colors dance across star maps, fighting a war that seemed to have no end. "All human fleets report ready, Admiral," said Commander Torres from his station. His voice carried the tired edge that came from months of battle. "The Zephyrians are in position on our left flank. Luminary forces hold the center. Vex-High squadrons are covering our right." Chun nodded. After 3 years of fighting alongside these alien species, she knew their tactics by heart. The reptilian Zephyrians were aggressive fighters who loved close combat. The energy-based Luminari preferred long-range attacks with their beam weapons. The insect-like Vex-High worked as a hive mind, moving their ships like a single creature. Together, they had pushed the Cathara swarm back system by system. Today would be different. Today they would break through to the swarm's main breeding worlds and end this war. "Signal from Coalition Command," reported Lieutenant Park from the communications station. "Admiral Cyrix gives the order to begin final assault." Chin felt her heart beat faster. Cyrix was the Zephyrian who commanded all Coalition forces. A good soldier, she had thought. Someone humans could trust. "All ships, this is Admiral Chun," she spoke into her communicator. "Today we finish what we started. For Earth, for our colonies, for everyone who died getting us this far, attack formation Alpha 7. Take us in." The human fleet moved forward like a steel wave. 200 ships carrying humanity's best and bravest. Behind them came supply vessels, medical ships, and colony transports. Nearly 200,000 humans in total, ready to claim victory. The Cathara swarm responded as expected. Massive bioships that looked like flying sea creatures rose to meet the attack. Their weapons were living things that shot acid and poison across space. For 3 years, humans had learned to fight these monsters. For 3 years, they had won battle after battle. Chun watched as human missiles found their targets. Explosions bloomed across Cathara ships like deadly flowers. The aliens' return fire struck human shields and armor, but her ships held strong. "Admiral," called out Commander Torres, "we're breaking through their first line. Casualties are light. Zephyrian forces are advancing on schedule." "Good, what about our flanks?" "Luminari forces report successful penetration of enemy screen. Vex-High squadrons are pushing hard on the right." "Everything going according to plan." Chun allowed herself a small smile. Maybe today would truly be the day they ended this war. Her ships drove deeper into Cathara space, following the battle plan that had taken months to create. Every human captain knew their role. Every crew member understood what victory would mean. Hours passed. The human fleet pushed through 2 more enemy lines. Cathara bioships burned and died around them. Chun felt the satisfaction of a plan working perfectly. "Admiral," Lieutenant Park called out, his voice strange. "I'm getting some odd readings from our allies." "What kind of readings?" "The Zephyrians they're changing course, moving away from us." Chun looked at her tactical display. The green dots that marked Zephyrian ships were indeed pulling back. "Get me Admiral Cyrix on communications." "I'm trying, ma'am. They're not responding." A cold feeling started in Chun's stomach. "What about the Luminari?" "They're also pulling back," and Admiral Dux Park's face went pale. "The Vex-High are jamming our communications." "We can't talk to our own ships," the tactical display updated. All around the human fleet, green dots were moving away. Not retreating from the enemy, but retreating from the humans. "This has to be a mistake," said Commander Torres. "Maybe they're regrouping." Chun stared at the screen. 3 years of fighting together. 3 years of shared victories and losses. 3 years of building trust with these alien species. It couldn't be what it looked like. Then the first missile hit her flagship. Not a Cathara weapon. A Zephyrian missile designed to punch through human armor. "Evasive maneuvers," Chun shouted. "All hands, battle stations." More missiles came from every direction. Zephyrian ships opened fire on human vessels. Luminari beams cut through human hulls like Knives through paper. Vex-High squadrons swarmed isolated human ships. Admiral, we're under attack by coalition forces. Torres reported what everyone could see. They're jamming our communications. Our ships can't coordinate. Chun watched her fleet die. Ships she had known for years, crews she had served with, captains she had called friends. The human vessels tried to fight back, but they were surrounded and cut off from each other. Get us out of here, she ordered. Signal general retreat to any ship that can receive it. What about the others? Chun looked at the massacre unfolding around her flagship. Human ships were dying by the dozens. The trap had been perfect. The aliens had led them deep into enemy space, then cut them off and destroyed them. Save who we can, she said quietly. The retreat was chaos. Human ships scattered in all directions, trying to escape the killing zone. Many didn't make it. Tren's flagship took 3 more hits before they reached the system's edge and could jump to hyperspace. Behind them, the killing continued. 3 days later, Chun stood in the emergency command center on Earth. The numbers were burned into her mind. Of 200,000 humans who had entered Cathara space, only 30,000 had escaped. 170,000 were dead or missing. The worst part was the recordings they had recovered from destroyed ships. In the final moments, some human crews had managed to get their communications working again. The messages they sent back to Earth were all the same. The aliens had been planning this from the beginning. Every battle plan, every strategy session, every moment of trust had been a lie. The coalition had used humans as expendable troops, sending them in first to weaken the Cathara swarm. When the aliens were ready to finish the war themselves, they simply removed the humans from the equation. Admiral, said General Morrison, head of Earth Defense Forces, the Global Council is waiting for your report. Chun looked at her reflection in the command center's dark windows. Her uniform was torn and stained with blood from the battle. Her face showed every one of her 45 years. What do we tell them? Morrison asked. Chun thought about the friends she had lost. Commander Williams, who had saved her life during the Battle of Proxima. Captain Rodriguez, who had always made her laugh during the dark moments. Lieutenant Commander Kim, who had just gotten married before the mission. All dead because aliens had decided human lives were worth less than their own. We tell them the truth, Chun said. Our allies betrayed us. They used us as cannon fodder. And then tried to murder us all. And then what? Chun turned away from the window. Her eyes were hard as steel. And then we show them what happens when you corner a human being with nothing left to lose. She walked toward the council chambers, her footsteps echoing in the empty corridor. Behind her, through the windows, Earth cities glowed in the darkness. 4 billion humans who didn't yet know that the galaxy had declared war on their species. They would learn soon enough. And when they did, the aliens would discover that humanity's greatest strength had never been their technology or their numbers. It was their ability to survive anything and come back stronger. 6 months after the betrayal, Earth looked like a different world. Admiral Sarah Shun walked through the underground research facility beneath the Rocky Mountains. The place hummed with activity 24 hours a day. Scientists, engineers, and military personnel worked side by side with a purpose Chun had never seen before. The betrayal had done something unexpected to humanity. Instead of breaking their spirit, it had united them in ways that peace never could. Every human colony, every space station, every ship in the void had sent the same message back to Earth. We stand together. Admiral Chun, called out Dr. Marcus Webb from across the laboratory. The scientist looked tired but excited. You need to see this. Chun walked over to Webb's workstation. Displays showed complex biological data that she didn't fully understand, but she trusted Webb. He had been working on something called the Hellfire Protocol for 3 months. What do you have for me, Doctor? Webb pulled up a new screen. We've cracked their biology. All 3 species that betrayed us. The Zephyrians, Luminari, and Vex-High all have weaknesses we can exploit. Explain it in simple terms. Their medicine is too good, Webb said with a grim smile. They've eliminated most diseases from their worlds. Their immune systems are weak because they never had to fight anything serious. But humans? We've been fighting diseases for thousands of years. Shun began to understand. You're making weapons out of human diseases. Modified human diseases, Webb corrected. Engineered to target their specific biology. A common cold virus that's harmless to us becomes deadly to them. Their advanced medical technology won't help because they've never seen anything like this. Across the facility, other projects were taking shape. Engineer Sarah Kim had been working on something she called ghost ships. Chun visited her workshop next. The idea came from watching how they betrayed us, Kim explained as she showed Chun the prototype. They used our trust against us. Now we use their expectations against them. The ship looked like a piece of space junk. Broken hull plates, fake. Damage, even fake distress signals. But inside, Chun could see the real weapons systems. It looks like debris, Chun said. Exactly. We've learned that all three alien species ignore what they think is harmless. They fly right past damaged ships and wreckage. These ghost ships can drift close to their fleets, then strike at point-blank range. How many can we build? With current resources, about 50 per month? But Admiral, that's not the best part. Kim's eyes lit up. Each one can carry enough nuclear weapons to take out an entire enemy squadron. Chun moved on to the next section, where Dr. Elena Vasquez was, working on the strangest project of all. Vasquez was studying captured Kithara technology, trying to understand their biology. Admiral, I have something that will change everything, Vasquez said without looking up from her work. We've been thinking about the Kithara all wrong. How? So? We assumed they were just monsters, mindless killers. But they're not? They're a hive mind, yes, but they can be reasoned with, and here's the important part. Vasquez finally looked up. Humans are immune to their control parasites. Hyun felt her heart skip a beat. Are you certain? Completely. Our brain chemistry is too different. The parasites that let them control other species can't affect us, which means we can communicate with them without being taken over. You're suggesting we work with the Kithara? I'm suggesting we use them, the enemy of our enemy, Admiral. The aliens betrayed us and left us to die fighting the Kithara. Maybe it's time the Kithara learned who their real enemies are. Chun spent the rest of the day touring other projects. Weapons that used human psychology against alien logic. Ships designed to fight in ways no alien could predict. Tactics that abandoned all the rules of civilized warfare. That evening, she met with the Global Council in the main command center. Representatives from every human colony appeared on screens around the room. For the first time since the betrayal, Chun felt hope. Report, Admiral, said President Martinez. Humanity is ready to fight back, Chun said simply. But this won't be the same kind of war we fought before. Explain. For 3 years, we tried to fight like them. We followed their rules, used their tactics, trusted their honor. That was our mistake. Chun stood up and activated the main display. From now on, we fight like humans. The display showed battle plans unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Kamikaze attacks that alien cultures would consider insane. Biological warfare that violated every treaty the Coalition had signed. Guerrilla tactics in space that turned the void itself into a weapon. Admiral, said Governor Chun from the Alpha Centauri colony, some of these tactics are ... brutal, unfair, against the rules of war. Chun's voice was hard. Good, the aliens showed us what they think of rules when they murdered 170,000 humans. But if we do this, we become like them. No, Chun said quietly, we become worse, because unlike them, we have a reason. President Martinez leaned forward. What do you need? Everything. Every ship, every resource, every human who can fight. We're going to build a fleet like nothing the galaxy has ever seen. And then we're going to teach our former allies what betrayal actually costs. Over the next 3 months, Earth transformed into a war machine. Factories that had built civilian goods now produced weapons. Space stations that had been used for research became military bases. Every human colony contributed ships, supplies, and volunteers. Chun watched it all from her new command center. She had been promoted to Supreme Commander of all human forces. The weight of the responsibility was crushing, but she carried it willingly. "Admiral," reported Commander Torres, who had survived the betrayal and now served as her chief of staff. "The first batch of ghost ships is ready for deployment. Dr. Webb's biological weapons are in production. And Dr. Vasquez has made contact with the Cathara hive mind." "What did the Cathara say?" "They're interested in our proposal. It seems they remember being betrayed by the coalition species long before humans arrived. They're willing to discuss cooperation against mutual enemies." Chun smiled for the first time in months. It wasn't a pleasant smile. "And our fleet? 500 ships ready for deployment. Each one incorporating everything we've learned. They don't fight like coalition vessels. They don't look like coalition vessels. The enemy won't know what hit them." Chun looked at the tactical display showing the deployment plan. Operation Prometheus, they called it. Named after the human who stole fire from the gods. "What's our first target?" Torres asked. "The Altair system. The Zephyrians are strip mining our former colonies there, using human civilians as slave labor." Chun's voice was cold as space. "Time to remind them that humans don't stay down when you hit them." She activated the fleet-wide communication system. Across Earth's orbital shipyards, 500 captains waited for her words. "Captains of the Human Defense Fleet," she began. "6 months ago, our allies betrayed us. They used us as cannon fodder and tried to murder us all. They thought they were eliminating a threat. Instead, they created their worst nightmare." She paused, looking out at the stars where her fleet waited. "We are no longer bound by their rules. We no longer fight for their causes. We fight for ourselves, for our dead, and for our future." The aliens wanted to see how dangerous humans could be when pushed too far. They're about to find out. "Launch Operation Prometheus. Show them what betrayal costs." 500 human ships left Earth's orbit, heading toward enemy space. They carried weapons the galaxy had never seen and tactics no alien could imagine. Most importantly, they carried the fury of a species with nothing left to lose. The real war was about to begin. Admiral Corax of the Zephyrian Third Fleet felt confident as his ships approached the Altair system. The human colonies there had been easy to capture after the betrayal. Human civilians made good workers in the mining operations. They were weak, but clever with machines. "Admiral," reported his tactical officer, "long-range sensors detect debris field at the system's edge. Looks like the remains of old human ships." Corax barely glanced at the display. Space was full of human wreckage these days. "Ignore it. Continue toward the mining stations." What Corax didn't know was that 50 of those debris pieces were actually ghost ships, waiting with nuclear weapons and human crews ready to die for revenge. 3 days earlier, Admiral Chun had watched from her flagship as the human fleet entered Altair space. Unlike the careful formations they once used with alien allies, her ships moved like hunters. They scattered across the system, hiding behind asteroids and gas clouds. "All ships in position," reported Commander Torres. "Ghost ships have reached their targets. Biological weapons are loaded and ready." Chun studied the tactical display. The Zephyrian fleet was exactly where intelligence said it would be. 47 ships protecting the mining operations on 3 human worlds. The reptilian aliens had grown careless in their victory. "Dr. Vasquez, what's the status of our new allies?" From her station, Dr. Vasquez looked up from her strange equipment. "The Cathara hive mind is in position. 3 bioships hiding in the outer asteroid belt. They're waiting for our signal." Chun nodded. The alliance with the Cathara had been difficult to arrange. The insect-like aliens didn't think like humans, but they understood betrayal. They remembered when the coalition species had tried to exterminate them decades ago. Begin the attack. The first phase came without warning. Ghost ships that had drifted unnoticed through Zephyrian formations suddenly came alive. Nuclear explosions bloomed throughout the enemy fleet as 50 suicide vessels detonated simultaneously. Corax watched in horror as half his fleet vanished in seconds. The debris he had ignored turned into a killing field. All ships, evasive maneuvers. He shouted, "Return fire on the debris field!" But there was nothing left to shoot at. The ghost ships had sacrificed themselves completely, taking Zephyrian vessels with them. It was a tactic no alien species had ever used. The idea of deliberately destroying your own ships was unthinkable to them. The second phase began as human. Ships emerged from hiding, but they didn't fight like the humans Corax remembered. These vessels moved unpredictably, using tactics that seemed insane. Human ships rammed into Zephyrian formations at full speed. Captains who should have preserved their vessels instead used them as weapons. Damaged human ships didn't retreat. They accelerated toward the enemy, turning themselves into guided missiles. "What are they doing?" Corax's tactical officer asked in confusion. "They're destroying their own fleet." But Corax could see the truth. For every human ship lost, 2 or 3 Zephyrian vessels died. The humans were trading their lives for maximum enemy casualties, something no civilized species would consider. The third phase was the worst. Dr. Webb's biological weapons struck without warning. Missiles that seemed conventional released clouds of modified human viruses into Zephyrian ships. Within minutes, entire crews were dying from diseases their advanced medicine couldn't cure. "Medical emergency on all ships," came the panicked reports. "Unknown biological agent. Our doctors can't stop it." Corax felt the first symptoms himself. What started as a minor cough quickly became something worse. The human viruses were killing his people faster than they could respond. The final phase came when the Cathara revealed themselves. 3 massive bioships emerged from the asteroid belt, their living hulls pulsing with alien energy. But instead of attacking the humans as expected, they turned their weapons on the Zephyrian fleet. "The Cathara are working with the humans." Someone screamed over the communications. It was impossible. The Cathara were mindless killers. They couldn't be reasoned with. They couldn't form alliances. But here they were, coordinating their attacks with human forces. Dr. Vasquez spoke calmly into her communication device, using the strange interface she had built. The Cathara hive mind responded, and their bioships moved with perfect precision. To support human attack patterns. Admiral Chun watched the battle unfold with cold satisfaction. The Zephyrians were learning what happened when they betrayed humanity. Their superior technology meant nothing against human tactics they couldn't understand. "Admiral Corax is requesting communication," reported Lieutenant Park. "Put him through." The reptilian face that appeared on her screen looked desperate. Corax was clearly sick from the biological weapons, his scales pale and his breathing labored. "Admiral Chun," he gasped. "We surrender. Please stop the attack. Surrender?" Chun's voice was ice cold. "Did you offer my people surrender when you betrayed us? When you murdered 170,000 humans? That was different." "Orders from Coalition Command." "Nothing personal." Chun leaned forward. "Nothing personal? You used us as cannon fodder and then tried to exterminate us. How much more personal does it get? We can negotiate. Find a solution that benefits everyone. The only solution is your complete defeat." Chun cut the communication. The battle ended within hours. Of 47 Zephyrian ships, only 5 escaped to hyperspace. The mining operations were destroyed. The human civilians were freed. Most importantly, the galaxy received a message that humanity was no longer anyone's victim. But the real shock came 2 weeks later when Admiral Chun met with the Cathara hive mind face to face. The meeting took place on a neutral asteroid. Inside a specially built habitat. Chun wore environmental armor and brought only a small escort. The Cathara representative was a massive creature that looked like a cross between a spider and a jellyfish. Through Dr. Vasquez's translation equipment, the alien spoke in a voice like rustling leaves. "Your species is ... interesting. You fight. Without rules, you embrace death for victory. This is not how the Coalition species behave." "The Coalition species betrayed us," Chun replied. "We're not like them anymore." "Good, the Coalition betrayed us long ago as well. They tried to exterminate our hives and take our breeding worlds. We have waited for revenge." "What do you propose?" The creature's many eyes focused on Chun. Alliance. Not friendship. We do not understand friendship. But partnership against mutual enemies. We provide bioships and hive tactics. You provide unpredictable strategies and biological weapons. Chun considered the offer. Working with humanity's former enemy felt wrong. But then she thought about the betrayal, about her dead friends, about 170,000 murdered humans. What about after we defeat the coalition? Then we return to our separate spaces. This alliance ends when our mutual enemies are destroyed. Chun extended her hand in the human gesture of agreement. The Kithara creature touched it with one of its appendages. The contact felt cold and alien, but Chun didn't pull away. Agreed. The coalition wanted to see what happens when they corner humanity. Now they'll face both of us. News of the human Kithara alliance spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Panic spread through coalition space as their two greatest enemies joined forces. Emergency sessions were called. Fleets were recalled from distant sectors. The aliens finally understood that their betrayal had created something far worse than they had. Imagine. Admiral Chun returned to her flagship with grim satisfaction. The first battle was won, but the war was just beginning. Humanity had found its new identity in the flames of betrayal. They were no longer the junior partners begging for acceptance. They were predators. And the hunt had begun. Dr. Vasquez approached her on the bridge. Admiral, the Kithara have shared their intelligence on coalition fleet movements. They know where every major enemy base is located. Excellent. What's our next target? The HFY hive worlds in the Rigel sector. They have 18 major colonies and a massive fleet. Chun smiled, and it was not a pleasant expression. Send word to all human ships. We're going to teach the HFY what happens when you use humans as bait. As her fleet prepared to jump to hyperspace, Chun looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the aliens who had betrayed humanity were realizing their mistake. They had tried to eliminate what they saw as a threat. Instead, they had created their worst nightmare, humans with nothing left to lose and new allies who shared their hunger for revenge. Lieutenant Commander James Park stood in the observation deck of Admiral Chun's flagship, watching another world burn. Below them, the luminary colony of Serenity Prime was dying. The energy-based aliens had built beautiful cities that glowed like stars against the planet's surface. Now those same cities were exploding as human bioweapons ate through their power systems. "Sir," said Ensign Martinez beside him, "the Admiral wants to see you in her quarters." Park nodded but didn't move immediately. He had been documenting everything since the war began. Every battle, every victory, every choice that took humanity further from what they used to be. Someone needed to keep a record of what they were becoming. The walk to Chun's quarters felt longer than usual. The ship's corridors buzzed with activity as crew members prepared for the next assault. Everyone moved with the efficiency of a machine, built for war. Park remembered when these same people used to laugh and joke between battles. Now they were focused on one thing, making the enemy pay. Chun was standing at her personal tactical display when Park entered. She looked older than her 50 years, her hair now completely gray. The war had aged all of them, but Chun most of all. "You wanted to see me, Admiral? Sit down, James." Chun's voice was tired. "I've been reading your reports." Park felt his stomach tighten. He had been honest in his documentation, perhaps too honest. "Admiral, I was just trying to keep an accurate record. Of our war crimes." Chun turned to face him. "Is that what you think we're doing?" "I think we're doing what we have to do to survive. But yes, some of our actions would be considered war crimes under coalition law." Chun was quiet for a long moment. "The Luminari below us helped plan our betrayal. Their energy weapons killed 40,000 humans at Kepler's gate. Should I feel sorry for them now?" "I don't know, Admiral. That's not for me to decide." "No, it's for me to decide. And I have to live with every choice." Chun sat down across from him. "Tell me, James, what would you do? How would you fight this war?" Park had thought about this question many times. "I would try to find a way that doesn't turn us into monsters." Monsters. Chun repeated the word slowly. The Zephyrians called us monsters after Altair. The Vexai said the same thing after. We destroyed their hive worlds. Do you know what I told them? No, Admiral. I told them they created us. Every human child who died in their betrayal, every colony they enslaved, every friend I lost, that's what made us into monsters. They have no one to blame but themselves. Through the window, another explosion lit up the planet's surface. The luminary cities were going dark one by one as human weapons destroyed their civilization. How many more worlds, Admiral? Park asked quietly. As many as it takes. The Coalition has 67 major worlds. We've destroyed 12 so far, 55 to go. Park felt sick. Admiral, some of those worlds have billions of civilians. Yes, they do. Just like our colonies had civilians when the aliens attacked them. Chun's voice was cold. The difference is, we're giving them a chance to surrender. We broadcast warnings, we offer terms. Most of them choose to fight, because they're terrified of us. Good. Fear is the only thing that will stop this war. Communication alert interrupted them. Chun activated her screen, and Commander Torres appeared. Admiral, we have a problem. The Luminari are requesting a meeting under a flag of truce. They want to discuss terms. What kind of terms? Complete surrender. They're offering to turn over their entire fleet and accept human occupation of their worlds. Chun was quiet for a moment, and the Vexai? Similar message came in an hour ago. They're willing to dissolve their hive colonies and accept individual human oversight of their remaining population. Park felt a moment of hope. Maybe the killing could stop. Maybe they could find a way back to something resembleization. What? About the Zephyrians? Chun asked. Torres looked uncomfortable. No word from them yet. Intelligence suggests they're still preparing for a final battle in their home system. Then we continue the war. No partial surrenders. All three species betrayed us together. All three will surrender together, or all three will be destroyed. Admiral, Park said after Torres signed off, the Luminari and Vexai are ready to give up. Why not accept their surrender? Because that's not justice. That's just 2 of 3 criminals trying to escape punishment. Chun stood up and looked out at the dying planet again. They made this choice when they decided human lives were expendable. Now they live with the consequences. Park left the meeting feeling more troubled than ever. He returned to his quarters and continued writing his reports. Someone had to document what humanity was becoming, even if no one wanted to read it. Over. The next 3 months, the human war machine continued its advance through Coalition space. Every victory brought more surrender offers. Every battle showed the galaxy what happened when you betrayed humanity. The Vexai hive worlds were the first to fall completely. Human bioweapons turned their collective consciousness against itself, causing entire colonies to tear themselves apart. The few survivors begged for mercy that never came. The Luminari energy cities were systematically destroyed, their beautiful glowing towers reduced to rubble. Their pacifist philosophy offered no defense against human tactics that embraced total war, but it was the psychological warfare that truly broke the Coalition. Human forces began broadcasting the recordings from Kepler's Gate, the voices of dying humans calling for help that never came. Every alien world heard the betrayal in their enemy's own words. Dr. Webb's biological weapons evolved as the war continued. New diseases targeted specific alien organs, causing maximum suffering before death. The galaxy learned that human creativity wasn't limited to peaceful purposes. The ghost ships became legends of terror. No alien formation was safe from the debris that might suddenly explode. No retreat was possible when the wreckage itself could be a weapon, but the alliance with the Cathara proved most effective of all. The bioships appeared without warning in civilian systems, spreading panic throughout Coalition space. The sight of humanity's former enemies working together broke the will of many alien worlds. Admiral Chun watched it all from her flagship, coordinating the destruction with mechanical precision. She felt nothing when alien colonies burned. She felt nothing when enemy fleets begged for mercy. The betrayal had burned out everything human inside her except the need for revenge. Admiral, Dr. Vasquez reported during one strategy meeting, the Cathara hive mind has a question for you. What is it? They want to know if you're satisfied with the level of destruction. They're concerned that we might be going too far, Chun almost laughed. The Cathara, the galaxy's most feared killers, were worried that humans had become too violent. Tell them we'll stop when every world that supported our betrayal has surrendered unconditionally, not before. Lieutenant Commander Park was there for that meeting. Chun could see the judgment in his eyes, but she didn't care. History would decide whether her choices were right or wrong. All she cared about was making sure the aliens who betrayed humanity paid the full price. The final push began 6 months later. Intelligence confirmed that all 3 coalition species had gathered their remaining fleets in the Nexus system, the original coalition capital. It would be the last battle of the war. Shun stood on her bridge, looking at the tactical display showing her massive fleet. 500 human ships, 50 Cathara bio-vessels, and countless support craft. The largest armada humanity had ever assembled. All ships report ready, Admiral, Torres announced. Chun activated the fleet communication system. Her voice reached every human warrior in the fleet. Today we finish what they started. Today we show the galaxy what betrayal costs. For our dead, for our colonies, for everyone who believed in friendship with aliens, today we end this war our way. The human fleet jumped to hyperspace, heading toward the final battle. Behind them, 55 alien worlds burned or lay in ruins. Ahead waited the last defenders of the coalition that had betrayed humanity's trust. The war was almost over. Soon, the galaxy would understand that some lessons could only be taught in blood. The Nexus system had once been the crown jewel of the Galactic Coalition. 3 beautiful worlds orbited a golden star, connected by massive space stations that served as the government center for dozens of species. Now it was a fortress defended by the combined fleets of 3 dying civilizations. Admiral Sarah Chun stood on her flagship's bridge, studying the enemy formations. 600 alien ships waited in defensive positions around the capital worlds. Zephyrian battle cruisers, Luminary energy platforms, and Vexi hive vessels, everything the coalition had left. Final count, Admiral, reported Commander Torres. We have 500 human ships, 53 Cathara bio-vessels, and complete tactical surprise. The enemy doesn't know about our alliance with the Cathara. Chun nodded. For the aliens, seeing humanity and the Cathara working together would be like watching their worst nightmare come true. 2 species they had tried to destroy, now united against them. Dr. Vasquez, what's the status of our Cathara allies? The hive mind is ready. They're excited about this battle. Something about finally balancing old debts. Vasquez looked uncomfortable. Even after months of working with the Cathara, she still found them disturbing. Admiral, Lieutenant Park spoke up from his station. Incoming transmission from the Coalition flagship. Admiral Cyrix wants to speak with you. Chun felt her heart grow cold. Cyrix, the Zephyrian who had planned the betrayal at Kepler's gate, the alien who had smiled while ordering the deaths of 170,000 humans. Put him through. The reptilian face appeared on her screen, looking older and more desperate than Chun remembered. His scales were dull, his eyes tired. The war had aged him too. Admiral Chun, Cyrix said in his translator-processed voice. We need to discuss terms. The only terms are unconditional surrender. You know this. Please, be reasonable. Yes, we made mistakes. Yes, the betrayal was wrong, but this war has gone too far. Billions have died. Chun leaned forward. Billions of your people, not mine. You made sure of that when you tried to exterminate us. We can work together again, find a new balance of power. The galaxy is big enough for all of us. No, Chun said quietly. It isn't. You taught us that when you decided our lives were worthless. Now you get to live with that lesson. Chun, please. Cyrix's voice cracked. I have grandchildren on the surface. Civilians who never hurt anyone. Did you think about civilians when you planned our betrayal? Did you consider the human children who died because you wanted us dead? That was different. No, it wasn't. The only difference is that we're better at this than you are. June cut the communication. The battle began 30 minutes later. Human ships attacked in the same unpredictable patterns that had terrified alien forces throughout the war. They used asteroids as cover, turned damaged vessels into weapons, and employed tactics that seemed to civilized species, but this time, they had help. The Cathara bioships emerged from hyperspace right in the middle of the coalition formation. Massive living vessels that pulsed with alien energy, their weapons designed to cause maximum terror as well as destruction. The psychological impact was immediate. Coalition forces had spent decades fighting the Cathara, learning to fear their bioweapons and hive tactics. Now those same monsters were working with humanity. "All coalition ships, this is Admiral Cyrix," came the panicked broadcast. "The Cathara are cooperating with human forces." "Repeat, enemy coordination confirmed?" The alien formation began to break apart as individual captains tried to avoid both human suicide attacks and Cathara bioweapons. Their careful defensive positions collapsed into chaos. Chun watched the battle unfold with grim satisfaction. Ghost ships appeared throughout the enemy fleet like deadly flowers blooming in space. Biological weapons turned alien crews against themselves. Cathara bio-vessels swarmed coalition ships with living weapons that ate through hull plating. "Admiral," Torres reported, "the coalition center is collapsing. Enemy ships are breaking formation and trying to retreat. Don't let them escape. Every ship that participated in our betrayal dies here." The slaughter continued for hours. Human forces showed no mercy to enemies who had shown them none. Coalition ships that tried to surrender were destroyed anyway. This wasn't just a battle, it was an execution. By evening, the space around Nexus was filled with the wreckage of 600 alien vessels. Only a handful had escaped to carry word of humanity's victory to any remaining coalition forces, but the real moment came when Chun received the message she had been waiting for. "Admiral," Park reported, "Admiral Cyrix is requesting permission to come aboard. He wants to formally surrender." "Grant it. But full security escort?" "I want to look him in the eyes when he admits defeat." An hour later, Jean stood in her ship's main docking bay. Cyrix came aboard with a small escort, all of them disarmed and under heavy guard. The reptilian looked broken, his proud military bearing replaced by the posture of complete defeat. They walked in silence to Chun's ready room. She had planned this moment for months, imagining what she would say to the alien who had betrayed her trust and murdered her friends. When they were alone, Cyrix spoke first. "You've won? Congratulations. I suppose you want me to beg for mercy?" "I want you to understand what you created," Chun said calmly. 3 years ago, humanity was ready to be your junior partner. We trusted you. We followed your lead. We died for your causes. And now? Now, we're the dominant species in the galaxy. The Cathara work for us. Every other alien race fears us. You turned peaceful humans into the galaxy's apex predators. Cyrix was quiet for a long moment. "We were afraid of you. Your species learns so fast, adapts so quickly. We thought you would eventually replace us. So you tried to eliminate us first?" "Yes, and instead we created our own destruction." Cyrix looked up at her. "What happens now? Do you execute me, destroy our worlds, enslave our survivors?" Chun had thought about this moment for months. She had imagined killing Cyrix with her bare hands, making him pay personally for every human who died. But now, looking at the broken alien in front of her, she felt only emptiness. "You'll live," she said finally. "You'll live to see what your betrayal cost. You'll watch your species serve as a client state to the humans you tried to murder. You'll spend every day knowing that you created your own worst enemy. That might be worse than death." "Good, that's the point." Lieutenant Commander Park was waiting outside when Chun finished with Cyrix. His face showed the same exhaustion they all felt. "It's over, Admiral. All 3 coalition species have surrendered unconditionally. Their fleets are destroyed. Their governments have collapsed. We've won." Chun looked out at the stars through the ready room window. Somewhere out there, human ships were taking control of alien worlds. The surviving coalition species would serve as client states, never again able to threaten humanity. "Have we?" she asked quietly. "Ma'am? Won? Have we really won, James, or have we just become something we shouldn't be?" Park was quiet for a moment. "I think we became what we needed to become to survive. Whether that's winning or losing, history will have to decide." Chun nodded. She was 62 years old now, her hair white, her face lined with the weight of command. She had led humanity from the edge of extinction to galactic dominance, but the cost— "Admiral," Park said gently, "the crew is waiting for your victory speech." Chun activated the ship-wide communication system. Throughout the human fleet, her voice reached every warrior who had fought in this terrible war. "People of Earth," she began, "the war is over. We have defeated every species that betrayed us. We have shown the galaxy what happens when you try to exterminate humanity." She paused, thinking of all the friends she had lost, all the choices she had made, all the lives that had been destroyed. "We are no longer the species we were 3 years ago. The betrayal changed us, hardened us, made us into something the galaxy fears. We are survivors, but we paid a price for survival that we're still counting." Through the window, she could see the lights of the coalition capital worlds below. Soon, human administrators would take control of those worlds. The aliens who had tried to destroy humanity would now serve under human rule. The aliens wanted to see how dangerous humans could be when pushed too far. They learned, the galaxy learned. Now, in the silence between the stars, even the darkness knows to fear the sound of human ships approaching. Shun ended the transmission and sat down heavily in her chair. The war was over, but she wondered if humanity had truly won. They had survived, yes. They had become the dominant species, yes. But in becoming apex predators, they had lost something of what made them human in the first place. Outside her window, the stars continued to shine, indifferent to the rise and fall of civilizations. Somewhere among those stars, other species were learning the lesson that humanity had taught. Betrayal has consequences, and humans never forget.